Welcome to this week's edition of Coffee and Careers. My name is Sophie. I've been on here a couple times now, but I'm one of the assistant directors in the office. I've been with the Career Development Center almost 2 years now. It'll be 2 years in February. So been really exciting to be here and get to do all the events and talk to the different departments. So today we have David. He is in the Entrepreneurship department. So we're going to be talking to him today about the major, things you can do with the degree, and kind of like the industry itself. So I'm going to hand it over to him and he can introduce himself to you guys and we'll get started.
That sounds good. Thanks for having me. My name is David Nowes. I am our chairperson and our Masters in Entrepreneurial Ventures Director in the Entrepreneurship Department. I've been at CMU since 2019, so about as long as a senior has been at CMU. And before that, I was an attorney in private practice that helped startups launch. So that's my connection to entrepreneurship.
Cool. Thank you for being here today. It's really great to be able to hear from different people teaching in the college of business. So let's just start with, what can you do with an entrepreneurship degree?
Yeah, absolutely. And before I answer your question, I'm going to introduce what we have in terms of entrepreneurship programming here at CMU,
Sure.
because it's quite extensive. So a student can major in entrepreneurship, much like you might expect, but we also have a minor in entrepreneurship that's about 7 classes. We have a certificate that only takes 4 classes, and then we have a master's degree in entrepreneurship. And so depending on how interested you are, you can access our programming in all those different ways, as little as 4 classes to get some type of certification, as much as a master's degree. Now, as you might expect, and to answer your question, it depends on how into entrepreneurship someone is in terms of what their career path might be. Folks who take our certificate or our minor are probably majoring in something like broadcast and cinematic arts. Maybe it's fashion and design, maybe it's engineering, and they typically go down those career paths while using their entrepreneurial skills in some way. So maybe a fashion designer would want to launch their own clothing line. Maybe a broadcast and cinematic arts person wants to start their own video production company. So in those types of scenarios, we have folks launching businesses in kind of a wide variety of industries. Now, our entrepreneurship majors and the folks who take our master's program typically are people who either want to launch their own business, and we have many students who do that. We also have many students who become employed through many different large companies, and they use their innovation skills to help make those companies adapt to a rapidly changing world. So for example, we have folks in large corporations that I'm sure you've heard of, and those students typically use their degree to work in sales functions, marketing functions, and innovation functions. But we also have folks that support entrepreneurs. So people like, investor aides that kind of help investors vet new investments, much like you might see on Shark Tank. And we also have people that help businesses essentially do new functions, and typically that would be through their other degree path as well. That would be a student who maybe dual majors. And so there's a lot of different ways to get a job through an entrepreneurship program, and it really depends on what your interests are and how deeply you dive into it.
Yeah, that's awesome that we have such a wide range of different things they can do, from like the 4 classes onto the master's degree. And it sounds like it can be paired with quite a few other majors, which makes sense. Let's say you're going into, some other major, and then you want to be having your own business in that. So that makes sense. It seems awesome that you're able to pair it with kind of different things. So the next thing is, what kind of things are alumni doing with their entrepreneurship degree?
Yeah, so they're doing all kinds of things. And I think the most typical thing we see are students working in an industry that they have an interest in. So for example, we might have a student who's interested in golf, and they eventually want to start a company that's related to golf in some way. But as a 22-year-old graduating, they don't quite feel ready to launch that company yet. Those students will typically go seek a job in the industry in which they're interested in. They'll learn for 5 or 10 years, and then they'll go launch their business. So I can think of a student from a couple of years ago who was really into golf. He got a job with one of the largest golfing manufacturers in the world, and he's working for them, learning the ropes. And I know someday he's going to go launch a business in the golf industry that's going to do really well. And I can think of countless examples of students kind of following whatever their passion is into a specific industry to learn more. But that's not to say that students can't launch their own business right out of school. And we do have students who do that as well. Typically, those are students who compete in our new venture competition. In past years, we've had up to $100,000 in cash prizes and in-kind services that are awarded to students who pitch their venture to a panel of judges. And they use that money, which is real money that they're gifted by the university, to go launch their business. And we, in fact, have many success stories that have come out of that program. So that's a really cool thing that CMU gets to boast.
Wow. So for the new venture competition, can anybody participate in that?
Yes, it's open to students from across campus. So you don't have to be an entrepreneurship major, minor, or certificate holder to participate. In fact, we encourage folks with kind of a diversity of learning experiences and perspectives to join the program. We put on workshops throughout the year. The next one's November 19th. It's here in Grand Hall on a Friday. And you can come in, you can meet with alumni, business people out in the real world, and our faculty, and work with them to kind of develop your pitch, develop your business idea, and take it a step further.
Oh, that's so cool that it's open to all majors, not just business, because I know there's so many students out there that have great ideas. I myself meet with some and they already have their whole company idea, down with what they want to do. So that's really cool that we give them that opportunity to participate in that, for sure. So in the industry of entrepreneurship, what kind of things are trending right now?
Yes, I would say the biggest trend that I've noticed since being at CMU is this idea of social entrepreneurship. And that is using entrepreneurial skills to better the world in some way. So you might see a social entrepreneur launch a nonprofit to help folks in a certain situation or further a cause that they really care about. But you also see for-profit companies that are engaging in social entrepreneurship. A really good example is Patagonia, who makes fleeces and hats and gloves, but they really care about the environment as well. In fact, they donate 1% of their profits to environmental causes to help protect our kind of global atmosphere. Now, students are coming into our classes, into our programs, and they increasingly are caring about some type of social issue. Maybe it's climate change, maybe it's one of the many others we've seen kind of at the forefront of the news the last few years. But our students really care about that issue. They want to incorporate it into a business in some way, and they want to use their entrepreneurial skills after they leave CMU to further that cause. And so I would say that's something we see trending both in our classrooms, but also in the outside world. And I think it's a really positive change, right? It kind of gets away from that, businesses just exist to make money, and it furthers, important social causes that our students and other folks in the world really care about.
Yeah, now that you say that, I can think of different companies that are doing different things. I definitely like Patagonia a little bit more now that I know that. But I know our students, definitely care about other things, the different causes going on in the world right now. So that makes sense that might be something, that they'd want to incorporate in any kind of business that they decide to open or pursue. So I think for this major, correct me if I'm wrong, internships are required to graduate. So if I'm a student and I'm looking to get an internship, where should I look? What kinds of internships could I do? Talk to me a little bit about the internships.
Yeah, so I think there's a few things you should do if you're an entrepreneurship major looking for that internship, and they are required to graduate, by the way. So the first thing you could do is get with our internship coordinator, who is an entrepreneurship faculty member. So they teach classes in our program, but they also coordinate your internship experience. So you can talk with them prior to finding that internship, maybe talk about some options that would be a good fit. And of course, if internships have reached out to us, we can forward those opportunities to you. So being on our internship coordinator's radar is a really good thing. The second thing I would encourage folks to do is to go to our extracurricular programming. And those new venture competition workshops, I think, are an awesome opportunity, because what we've seen through that is students working on a business idea are regularly engaging with our alumni and other people in the business community, and they earn opportunities kind of organically through those interactions. So it might be an internship, but even better, it might be a job after graduation. In fact, we've seen that many, many times. So that's a really cool way to get that internship. Lastly, I would point students to your office, right, and the career services opportunities that they have through your office. So, if a student's kind of having trouble getting started, or maybe wants to learn what their options are, I would always point them to Handshake, and I would always point them to working with someone in your office, because that's a good place to see what's out there and to understand what opportunities are in front of you.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for the little shout out there.
Yeah.
Internships are so important, and we've talked about this, I'm sure, in previous episodes, but there's always kind of the double-edged sword where it's like, how do I get a job without experience, and how do I get experience without a job? And internship is kind of that bridge between both, where you're able to gain some experience that when it is time to graduate and move on to the real world, you do have a little bit of experience to talk about. So we are here to definitely help you guys put together, let's say, if your resume after you have an internship, we can look up how to get that incorporated on your resume. We can help you, teach you how to find those different opportunities. Handshake is a great resource that we have. All of those jobs are people who have come to us and said, hey, we really want to hire CMU students. Can we post a job to them? So all of those jobs on there are employers specifically seeking you out. So that's why Handshake's a really good resource for you guys. And if you don't know how to use Handshake, just get in touch with our office. We can teach you how to do that. Handshake is also how you make appointments with our office. So it's really the hub for everything. But yeah, internships are so important to get that little bit of experience before you head to the real world. So you have some things to talk about in your interview when they say, hey, can you let me know, why you're qualified for this position? You have a little bit of experience to draw upon. So cool. Thank you for all of that information. Do you have any kind of final closing thoughts that you want to tell the viewers?
Yeah, the last thing that I want to point out to folks that I forgot to mention up front, we actually do have an extra academic program that's really cool for our students who are here at CMU currently. If you're an entrepreneurship major and you plan well and you have good grades, you can actually get our accelerated master's degree. And what that does is it allows you to get both your undergrad degree and your master's degree in 4 years plus 1 summer. And you only pay for the extra classes in that 1 summer. Otherwise, it's the same cost as an undergraduate degree. And it's actually a really cool opportunity for our students because we have many who will graduate in the 4 years. They'll go get a job and they'll simply finish up their master's degree as they start employment in that last summer. It's a really cost-effective way to get a master's degree. It's a good way to keep yourself motivated to get good grades throughout the program. And it's a great way to differentiate yourself to potential employers to say, I completed this master's degree in 1 extra summer. How cool is that? So yeah. I encourage our students who are in the degree program and interested in that to come check it out, reach out to me, and I'd be happy to point you in the right direction.
That's great. That's awesome that we have that option for students. Get it all done kind of in a short amount of time, which is always, going back. You can certainly go back and get your master's later, but kind of, staying in the mode of school and getting both at the same time is really helpful to be able to do that. Well, thank you for joining us today. It sounds like the entrepreneurship program has so many cool things going on, really a lot of options that students can take advantage of. The new venture competition sounds awesome. So hopefully students, if you want to get involved in any of this and you don't know how, David, are they able to reach out to you and kind of gain some more information?
Absolutely. You can email me at david.nows, and my name's on the screen, at cmish.edu. Send me an email, reach out, and I'm happy to point you in the right direction to whatever programs or opportunities you're looking for.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining, and thank you, David, for talking to us today.
Thanks, Sophie.
You're welcome. Bye, guys.